What's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of the Build Different podcast with Tucker Speed. I had a full house this episode, joined by Dumptruck from Sawicki Speed. Also had Paige Clark, a Salt Lake painter, does some beautiful paint jobs, both motorcycles and cars, and also some tattooing. And also joined by Jordan Mastagni of Hotbike. We got together with Dumptruck and Paige the past few days and kind of collaborated on a project. We installed a new pipe on Paige's Lowrider ST that she painted, and we created some content and video, a bunch of stuff that will have a full YouTube episode. So check out the YouTube episode that kind of, follows the process of the install, the tuning, and what we found after installing the Sawicki Speed pipe on Paige's bike. And Jordan jumped in, was kind of just getting to know everybody. It was a great introduction to him, and we kind of heard the story of how Hotbike is kind of reviving and coming back to life. And so we had a lot to talk about. We had really good conversations, just a lot to talk about with all three of them. So remember, this podcast is brought to you by tuckerspeed.com, your one-stop shop for all your performance Harley-Davidson needs. And please, before you jump into the episode, give us a follow, give us a 5-star review. Just helps us keep this thing growing. I hope you enjoy the episode.
Making power by day, making friends at night. Build different. Tucker Speed. Hell yeah, brother.
Got a good weight to it.
It was too pretentious.
Mm-hmm.
I like it. Don't get me wrong. It feels fucking cool. But I just was like,
No, this is like, it modernized it,
yeah,
but it's still
it's not.
a paper magazine.
Yeah, it's not a cardboard catalog,
Yeah, and I feel
which I
like,
didn't want it to be.
because sometimes they almost start to feel like a book
Yeah.
versus a magazine.
Yes.
And I want to know I'm holding a magazine. And I still feel that.
Yeah.
But I feel like just like that mat or whatever, it just,
spike is tight.
it's kind of a modern
thing.
look.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It's like Hotbike, but new. I dig
Well, that's
it.
what I was going for.
Well, you nailed it.
Thank you.
Those dudes are
Yup.
talented.
Yep.
I remember the first time I interviewed him was for Hotbike Tour.
That is
When I interviewed Justin, I went out
cool
there,
bike.
and that was really when I started to get to know him, to ask about his story and all that shit. And I was like, "So, where do you gain inspiration from?" He goes, "Honestly, I stay away from the internet because I'm not trying to do what everybody else is doing." I'm
Yeah.
like, "Oh, I like this guy,
Who's that?
Justin, FXR Division." Yeah, because he didn't have an attitude when he said it. Like, it's just like, I don't really want to be inspired by what other people are doing because it looks like their stuff.
Yeah.
And really, because I have a lot of stuff going on in my head right now. He goes, you just test that, see how it works.
Yeah.
Yeah. I won't lean back. I don't do that when I speak.
Lean back.
Lean back.
back.
Checkity check the microphone.
Melt into my chair.
Ugh.
What's gonna happen?
Like, wake up.
I know. I'm.
What are you
Can
guys
we,
talking about?
can we
over
do
there?
a two-name dump truck?
That's what it's on my credit card.
Mr. Truck?
Is it really?
Yeah.
Mr. Truck. I like it.
You know how
Mr.
fast you were
Truck,
going,
only
Mr.
if you're in
Truck?
trouble.
Yeah.
Right.
This is the gold shit. You've been recording this the whole time,
The
right?
timer's going, so that means we're on.
Good. All right.
Are we?
We're doing it live.
The
We're going
timer's
for
on.
it.
Fuck it.
We're going
That
for
was
it.
a great Gatorade.
Easy there, Mr. Truck. Mr. Truck, settle down.
Mr. Truck.
Sorry. I'll sit on my hands.
Uncle Dumpy.
Do it live. That is a good one.
All right. I guess since we're rolling, we'll do some proper introductions here. Mr. Truck.
Hi, I'm
Everybody
Dumptruck.
knows Dumptruck. Paige Clark
And Paige.
from Stripecult. Just Stripecult.
Just Stripecult. I'm gonna
Just
change that.
Stripecult. Not
Real soon.
Stripecult
Painting.
painting.
I didn't say
Not,
anything.
not Stripecult tattoo. Not
Just all-
Stripecult motorcycles, cars. Just Stripecult.
Just Stripecult. It started with
all of
painting,
the
but
all of the above.
all
though.
of it.
This is gonna be good. I can't wait.
This is going to be good. And then Jordan,
Can't wait to shotgun this beer.
the new and improved.
Oh, I thought you were gonna attempt my last name. This is what I was excited to hear.
I'm going to screw it up, so I'll let you do it.
No, I know how to say my last name.
I don't know how to say it.
I know.
don't know how to say
let's
it.
at least get an attempt.
I'm not even going to attempt it. Not even going to do it.
Nobody here wants.
Not it.
Nobody wants to attempt it. It is that tricky. So it looks like Mastagni,
That's how I always say it.
but the G is silent. That's the trick. So it's Mastagni.
You
Can,
can't
can
even
you
say
say
it.
it?
Are you sure?
Yeah, it's Mastagni. But I'll take Mastani. A lot of people
I
say
like
that,
Mastani.
and that works too.
Okay.
So there you go.
I'll allow it if you want.
I
to
was
keep your
not going to
name.
even try and attempt it.
It's always I always like to hear how bad people fuck it up because it's interesting to me because it is a tricky one.
Yeah, way tricky. So
Yeah.
thanks for taking care of that.
Yes, you're
Clearing that
welcome.
up.
You're
Yeah.
welcome.
That silent G. You got to watch
Happy
out.
to serve.
Yeah.
Mastagni.
So Jordan Mastagni
Yeah, look at that.
of Hotbike.
You don't have to tell him more than once.
Yeah. New
I
trick
try
shot.
and listen. We got a couple of issues of Hotbike sitting here, so excited to have you here.
I'm excited to be here. Thank you.
I've been hanging out with these jerks for the past 2 days, so it's
That's
nice,
why
I
they call
feel
it
for
work.
you. I feel for you.
nice to have a new face join us this afternoon. So thank you.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
But let's jump in on what we've been doing the last couple of days here,
Yeah. Well,
Mr. Truck.
I'm just going to find a baton, grab it, and start running.
Okay.
My name is Dumptruck. I'm brand manager for Sawicki Speed, and we are manufacturers of handmade 2-in-1 stainless steel performance exhausts for Harley Davidsons and Indians. And I am lucky enough to get to work with Miss Paige Clark at Stripecult. And we wanted to put a pipe on her bike that was just so beautifully painted. Really trying to build a bike to match the paint. This is really hard to do because it looks amazing.
Thank
And really wanted to work with Tucker Speed. And conversations happened throughout the year. I was like, why don't we just do 2 at once? I'll come into town. We'll put a pipe on there. We'll get it a real tune. See what the power can do. And, see where that leads. You never know. And it's just been a really good time. Going through that process. The dyno room is always fun. But getting to spend time. This is also great. But, behind the scenes in between the bullshit, the real stuff. Stuff you don't get when you go to motorcycle events and see each other for 5 seconds. That's really what it's been to me for the last couple of years. That and proving that our exhaust pipe really produces some serious power. It's been fun.
Well, that's been the enjoyable thing for me the last couple of days is, we see each other at an event or show or rally or whatever. And it's like, hey, how are you? How's things going? See you later. I got to get back to my booth or whatever.
Yeah.
To spend some time, talk some shit, have some good laughs, eat some food, talk about motorcycles, and then, get some content out of all this has been enjoyable. So, I mean, the process for me has been super good.
Well, why were you crying earlier?
Because you're leaving.
Oh, I
I'm
don't
sad.
know. Tucker's slow. That way I leave slower.
Yeah. So yeah, you guys asked me. You asked me are you down to install a pipe and tune it? And it's like, yes. It's a no-brainer for me. To be able to work with you guys and create content, get our brand, on pages, videos, whatever, next to to Sawicki, to Stripecult. It's an honor for me. So super cool. It's a great opportunity, and it was a no-brainer.
I feel like we all just got to do a really cool thing. And
Yeah.
it's just
I
that
agree.
whole rising tide. It's something that we've heard a lot more. It's like the common term for the last year or so. Rising tide raises all ships. And so if you're not working together, you're kind of working against the flow. And this was just all about getting together and doing the work. And it's been enjoyable because our heads are in it, our hearts are in it. There's not one person on this panel that doesn't lead their lives with passion. There's not. Otherwise, this building wouldn't exist. Your business wouldn't exist. Your magazine wouldn't exist. And I'd still be wearing a tuck Speedo on a motorcycle, sleeping under cars.
Which would be nice too.
Hey, it was nice, breezy. It was good. But it is an honor, to be amongst passionate people.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's cool to see people have the kind of passion that I have. Sometimes, you know, you kind of get out on an island, you start to question, am I crazy?
Right.
Or, you know, am I, you know, this passion and this kind of dream or this drive that I'm chasing, am I stupid? Am I crazy? I feel all alone. And so when you get to hang around people that have that same passion, it lets you know that you're not crazy, that other people are this passionate about motorcycling, just like I am.
Or we're all crazy.
I mean, we're all, I mean, yeah, that's a given. But, you know, so that's how I, you know, being in northern Utah, like, we sometimes feel a little isolated. So I start to, a lot of times, question, what am I doing here? And then, you know, that's why I love going to events, because I get to see people like you guys, and I hear the stories, you know, whether it's another shop in another state or another brand or whoever it is, and, you know, they're speaking my language. It just lets me, it reassures me that it's okay to chase your dreams and be a little bit crazy.
Yeah, man. Here.
So
I'll drink to that.
You know what I miss, Tony? Sorry, cheers
No,
to that. Yeah,
yeah.
absolutely. I miss trade shows. I miss going to V Twin Expo. I miss going to Indy and all that, because it's like a reunion with all of your brothers and best friends that you haven't seen all year. And they were just fun, you know. You'd see them, you'd see what's new for the year, you see what's coming out, you just see what your friends were up to, right? And that's really, you know, what this industry is about, is relationships. And I think you just nailed it,
Yeah.
right? Like, that's why I got into it. That's why I spent my entire career in this industry. That's why I wanted to get back into doing this, because of the relationships that I've formed through the years and the relationships that I still have, even after stepping away for a few years. But then coming back, it's like, then you know that they actually were substantial and they meant something. And it's just like, sorry.
no, I think
I just wanted to share that.
Yeah.
I felt
Yeah,
compelled
it's the
that was
soul of
like, it absolutely is the relationships that keep not just this industry going, but every industry, right? But it's such a passionate industry because, you know, there's a little bit of danger in there. There's like, you know, it's a motorcycle, right? It's not like a caged car where you're protected with airbags and seatbelts and all that crap, right? Like, if you fall, you could die, right? And there's just something about having that, you know, drive your passion where it's a little bit different than everything else, you
Yeah.
know?
I
Maybe
agree
like
with
action
that.
sports or whatever. But
Yeah, but I mean, like, there's a little bit of sketch involved, and for whatever reason,
Yes.
that kind of, you know, does it for us, every single one of us.
yeah.
Do you think that there's like a sense of like respect within everybody in the industry because we've all accepted that sketch? You know what I mean? Like,
I
we
think-
we all know that, you know, when we throw a leg over a motorcycle, the sketch, the risk, the danger that's involved, and that's part of what we enjoy about it. So, you know, we have that in common.
Yeah, we
so
all
when you
write
go
that
to
check.
It, you know, because this isn't just a business for me. You know, I wouldn't be doing this if it was just for business, because like financially, like, it's not that lucrative. You know, I could work this hard and make a whole lot more money if I wanted to do something different. I do it because I love it. And I feel like when I go to these shows, rallies, whatever, and I talk to guys that have that passion, you know, you can feel it, and you just have that bond immediately with people. And you can tell the people that have it and the people that don't. At least I feel like I can.
You got to surround yourself with those people too.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you're in a room full of people that don't care about what you're doing, like, kills your dream too.
For sure.
So you're always feeling like, am I crazy? Am I being stupid? And then
Yeah.
you go to those events and you see all these people and you're like, no,
Hey.
I'm doing the right thing.
Hey,
you
you're
know,
like me.
Yeah.
we're the same.
I'm not alone in the world. Yeah, you're just like me.
Yeah.
You got a whole
absolutely.
world full of loners, that you're not alone anymore.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
Sure,
Yeah, steal that.
because I'm cold.
But to your point, Tony,
legs.
yeah, I think like it's like an unspoken bond,
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
right? Like, I think it is that thing that connects us all, right? And
Well,
it's
it's
not something that we talk about,
No.
but it's just known.
It's almost like it's our common ground.
Yeah.
And it may not even be a mutual respect, you know, because you don't necessarily know someone, but it's like, oh, you get it. I mean, at Sawicki, I've been there for just over a year now. And one of my first objectives was to make sure the room was full of motorcycle passionate people, not just people that are good at marketing or good at graphic design or good at whatever it is their objective is. That needs to be second. First is who here rides, who is passionate about it, not just who has a motorcycle and also does these objectives, like who rides who is passionate about it, then are they good? And because if you start with those things and they're good, then you have a great thing. If you start with those things and they are right, you can grow to that great thing because you start with passion. The very first moves that we made at Sawicki whenever I was able to come on board was to adjust our marketing team to where it reflected what we're about, which is the motorcycle life and the culture and the people within it. So we partnered with Acorn Woods Communications as they're our CMO, and every single one of them rides a version of a motorcycle. They've been in this industry a super long time. And our graphic designer, Shaylin Brady, she is extremely talented herself. She rides, she's passionate. And, you know, me, I at least stand in front of motorcycles a lot.
You're not passionate at all.
I'm falling asleep right now. But I mean, like Chris, our president, you know, he is extremely passionate about what he is in part responsible for. And it's just that passion. Like, that's really the powerful word. If you lead with that, good things will come from it. It's not like automatically good things will come from it, but you'll be surrounded by people who are willing to do the work. And then the good things will come after that. If the passion's not there, they might just be willing to fulfill just one line item, and that's not what it's about.
I mean, those people are just there to do the bare minimum.
Right.
Right?
Do the job, go home.
Yeah.
Do you stop working when you go home? Any one of you?
What is that?
I work in my sleep.
Yeah. Right.
7 days a week, man.
Yeah.
That Instagram ain't gonna run itself, y'all. Tell you what, somebody's got to pop them stories up there. But I mean, 7 days a week. I mean, you wake up, you're thinking about motorcycles and sometimes business. You go to bed, you're thinking about motorcycles and sometimes business. And, you know, in the middle of the day, you should be because you're trying to pay bills.
Yeah. No, and that's the beauty and the burden of kind of being, you know, I guess it's not even just being self-employed. You know what I mean? Like, you work for Sawicki, but you hold yourself accountable for what you put out there and what you do. You know what I mean? You go to bed at night thinking about what you didn't get done today and what you got to do first thing in the morning. You know what I mean? And that's the difference between an employee and someone who's invested into a brand. You know, you don't necessarily have to be the owner to think that way.
No way.
But it's so hard to find those people, right? Like, you know, most people just want to clock in and clock out.
It's almost like finding your therapist, which I have definitely gone to therapy. It's really healthy. If you're a man out there and you have PTSD, I'm a veteran, and depression, anxiety, all that stuff's very real. You don't have to do this alone. There are people out there. Slide my DMs, I'll be one of them. But it's like choosing your therapist. It's not just there's a therapist, I got to go with them. No, like you got to I didn't really vibe yet. Let's go to this next one, try those shoes on. Let's go to this next one, try those shoes on, and then you click.
Yeah.
And then you're ready to go. But like if you're not invested in your own self-improvement, you'll never get to that therapist that you're really supposed to match with.
Yeah.
And that's doing the work in that aspect.
Yeah.
Not to just bring mental health into it all, but
No, that's important though.
No, it is important.
That's really important.
I mean, you got to take care of yourself, right?
absolutely first.
Like you can't take care of others unless you're healthy.
Absolutely. You got to clean your house before you start inviting people over for a party.
Yeah, for sure. I want to know a little bit more about what's coming down the pipeline from Sawicki.
Oh boy.
So please,
My NDA alarm just went off.
so tell us what you can.
Yeah.
And tease us with what you can.
We have a lot of exciting things. We spent the last 2 years under new ownership improving everything. Once Sawicki was under new ownership, which is Chris Clark of Proto Titan, it was time to improve everything that already existed. We've gone through every single exhaust system. If we didn't have fitments for it, we were doing all of the things that we can to make sure that every single performance possible Harley, from Evo to current, is going to have an option from Sawicki Speed. And that is a full-time job on it. I mean, it's a lot. When you're making parts, and I've learned a lot in this process.
That's a lot of models.
Dude, it is a lot. It is a lot of communication. It's a lot of back and forth. It's a lot of trial and error. We have a really great R&D team led by Jamie Hacking, who is 3-time AMA Superbike champion. No joke there. And he has gone through and improved everything about that product, from the bracket to the gaskets to where we step our pipes, and it's made us top of the heap in the numbers game. There's lots of great brands out there, so if you don't have a Sawicki pipe and you've got another one of our competitors, then great. I'm glad you chose an American-made, handcrafted product. good job. Doesn't have to be a Sawicki. I'm not in competition with anyone else. We're just doing our own thing, and so far it's working really well. And we're at the point where we're able to expand beyond the pipe, or past the pipe, as I like to say, just because it sounds like you're talking about smoking weed. But
Did you say past the pipe?
yeah,
Past.
past the pipe.
Oh,
One letter makes all the difference.
my one-track mind.
But we do have we have other hard parts that are going to be coming out, and we've got actually different muffler designs that are coming out. The Sawicki Speed design is, you look at that, and it's been pretty true to itself since 2011 when Tyler started his business. He's no longer a part of the picture anymore, but we definitely take what he started with and improved on it, and we continue to improve on it, and it's really flourishing. Now we offer fitments for almost every single Indian motorcycle. We have like 2 more fitments to confirm, and I think that's happening right now before the end of the year. And we've got like a full-length FTR pipe that's going to be coming out. We've got an X pipe for Indians that are coming out, because we don't do dummy pipes. That's not performance, so we'll never do it. But there's a way, right? You can still have that compression point where you can create some power in the dyno room and not have to worry about leaving those ghost holes empty. And the saddlebags, because most of them come molded now if you do special or whatever, the clever. And for Harley Davidson, that's really been our bread and butter. And that is where our stronghold of support is the biggest. And it's growing in the Indian market. It's a new market. It's going to take time for that to grow. But it's going extremely well. But in the Harley market, we have a bunch of stuff that's coming out, especially for your M8 baggers and your M8 softails. I can say this, it's not completely quiet knowledge, but we were fortunate enough to work out a deal with Patrick Tilbury from Royalty Racing, and we acquired the IP for Royalty's designs, and we will now be offering sometime in Q1, probably mid-January, we'll be offering the RT version of the Sawicki Speed exhaust. So it's based off of our proven headers and merge collector, and it's his muffler design. So you'll have that pie cut turnout, that great MotoGP look, MotoGP sound, and it's just bitchin'. It deserves to live in this world. And it hasn't been in production for a while, and we're really excited to bring that back to life. And that is like,
That's
for
way
us,
cool.
that's huge.
Yeah, that's way cool.
And I used to work for Royalty. Like, I'm passionate about that brand, you know, so it's really cool to have that back in my life again. Go!
Yes. Sorry. Question.
You're just spilling out of him.
Will you offer titanium versions
We
of
will-
anything?
We're not focused on titanium. There might come a day for that, but we are very much focused on stainless steel.
Got it.
No mild steel. I don't think that'll ever be part of our picture.
It shouldn't be.
Yeah, that's not the game we like to play. Yeah, so it's probably going to stick around with stainless for a while.
Which I assumed, and I just wondered with the royalty stuff. You know, I know that he didn't do a ton of the tie stuff, but some of it, you know, he would do, and it was always very
Yeah.
Awesome.
Oh, yeah. Well,
way
now a lot of the stuff he did wasn't necessarily titanium. He did do a few different pie cut pipes that were all out of stainless too.
yeah.
And those types of things would be really fun to do. But at the level of production that we're working at, it's really hard to slow things down that much.
I get it.
Because, I mean, that pipe by itself, pie cut, like a full-on pie cut pipe, you're talking 2 full weeks of work sometimes more if everything doesn't go right. And, I mean, what's that price point going to look like?
Yeah.
We're not trying to do that to our customers. We know who our customer base is. I'm one of them. I know how much money I do and don't make. I know how it's gonna impact me when I buy X, Y, or Z, and that's exactly what happens to our customer. They're passionate about it. That's why they invest into something that's $1,500 to put on their motorcycle just to go faster and have a more fun. That's the whole business we're in. Every time you paint something, you add something to someone's life. Every time you dyno someone's bike or you coach them on what it takes to build, you help someone's life be better. Whenever you get the word out through Hotbike magazine, you are absolutely helping every small business that is a part of your magazine, and you're inspiring people. I remember the first Hotbike magazines I ever found, and that's exactly the kind of stuff that we want to do. We want to make your life better. Motorcycles are all about fun, man. If you're not trying to have a good time in motorcycles, move on.
Amen.
Amen.
Yeah. She droopy.
Do you think, I mean, in your opinion, is there a market for a titanium pipe?
Not on a mass volume production level. It's just the materials and the time that it takes. You know, it's not cost
I
effective.
mean, like you said, it's a 2-week build for
Yeah.
a one-man band to cut all that, weld it all together.
Yeah, beginning to finish. It's just such a big undertaking. Although that's a great flex. I mean,
It's so cool,
it's
though.
so sexy.
I think it'd be a good marketing thing. You should dip a toe in the water.
Just dip a toe in the
too.
water, see
Yeah.
who wants to party. The thing that makes it the most complicated,
You should
really.
do it for a Hotbike bike, maybe.
I know a guy.
Ooh.
The thing that makes titanium a little bit complicated is it's a whole different skill set, machinery set.
Yep.
Like it's not, you don't weld them the same. It's not the same process. So you have to have someone
It
specifically.
kind of really upsets the whole
It upsets the workflow
the
completely.
workflow, the assembly line process. All of
Yeah.
it has to be kind
You
of.
wouldn't even be using the same fixtures probably because it would be a little bit different design
Yeah.
pipe because it's different materials that would call for different needs.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, if you made 10 a year and just put an outrageous price tag on them,
One of the things
I
we
mean,
are going to be
they would
doing.
they would sell. They're like especially if people knew like there's only X amount made a year, like guys would buy them just to say they got one.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You could pre-sell them, honestly.
We do have,
I would buy one.
without
Yeah.
saying what it is, we do have a few short runs that we are going to start offering.
Yeah.
Like every quarter, we'll do a pre-sale on this product that we either have discontinued and we'll bring back for a hot minute, or market testing. It's the
Yeah.
best way to do it. You want to find out if people dig it, give them an opportunity to experience it. You do it on a small enough scale, you haven't screwed up your workflow or your costing or any of that. What you've done is gotten real feedback from the ground up, and that is invaluable. So we definitely are going to have like some small run things that are going to come out. We've been working on some extra details that make our exhaust a little bit more finished, a little bit more refined, without losing power, without losing the loudness, and, like keeping the stees. And I'm really excited about that. This year was really all about just getting our name back out there and informing people of who we are now, how we make our product, and how we stand behind it with a lifetime warranty.
I think you guys have made huge strides in the last 12 months. Huge strides from what I've seen from, Ogden, Utah.
Yeah, I mean we have, and that's all R&D. I mean, for the most part, that our R&D program has really been on top of it. The second they get a pipe right, he revisits it. We found 3 horsepower laying around the other day, just because he moved where the step was. I mean, if you're not, that's dedicated to the work right there. Instead of going, we've got this pipe. What's next? That does not happen in our
Yeah.
house, like ever. As much as we'd like it to sometimes, like no, it's like we're always innovating. We're not trying to out innovate anyone else. We're trying to out innovate ourselves because we believe in what we're doing. And there's a lot of other brands that have the ability to do that with themselves as well. You don't necessarily have to look at your neighbor as much. Like, look at what you're doing, analyze what you're doing. Where do you want to move forward? Make your list and work backwards.
Yeah, echoing Tony there. I mean, it's just the progress you guys have made in the past year is like, it's remarkable. And a lot of that I know is because of you. You're out there, you're pounding the pavement, you're having the conversations, you're educating people, but also, like you said, the R&D, the amount of pipes that you guys offer now for all the different models is like, it's hard to fathom how you guys were able to do that in such a short amount of time. So hats off and kudos to Sawicki Speed. You're definitely crushing it. Keep doing what you're doing. It's looking good,
Yeah.
and I'm a fan.
I'm a
so-
fan.
Well, thanks.
I mean, I would
I'm
almost say
obviously a
it's,
fan.
it's more of a feat to do what they've done in 12 months
Oh, yeah.
than starting from scratch.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
absolutely.
Because they kind
There
of
was some
started in a
repair
hole
that
a
was
little
needed,
bit.
you know? There was some repair,
It's like
some
you started-
reputation repair that was needed. Like, we're not just afraid of that conversation at all.
Yeah.
And I think the part of what's worked well for you is that you've owned that.
Absolutely.
You
Chris,
just
totally agree.
Step up and owned it.
But before I even got there,
Yeah,
it is
not
what it
trying to-
is.
Pull the curtain
No.
or hide anything.
transparency, that's the key. Be honest about what you're doing and do what you say you're going to do.
Yeah.
Chris Clark, our president, before I even got on, was like, we're going to offer a lifetime warranty. That means we have to warranty a whole bunch of stuff we didn't make. Sawicki Speed spent more than $150,000 correcting pipes we didn't even manufacture because it's a lifetime warranty. If you bought it, we'll give you a lifetime warranty. If it just shows up on a pipe you bought, sorry, bud. That's not really how that works.
Sorry, bud.
Proof of purchase is required. But I mean, whenever you make that one move and then back it up like that, and you're in the middle of trying to grow, when most people would be scaling back on certain things like marketing and not wanting to throw out a lifetime warranty like that, where you end like, I just bought this business. Cool. Time to throw another 150 grand at it. Like, that's a move.
Yeah.
That says a lot about the man I work for. And I'm proud to go to work for that guy for moves like that, because I feel as a community member and a consumer, I feel respected. I feel like my dollar matters, and you see that. And those are the kind of people I always want to do business with.
Yeah. Yes. And I think that that's been a huge part, I think, at least for me, you know, because there's, you know, every brand has had its own issues.
Right.
And
It's
you
a
know,
part of the
sometimes
game.
you feel like some brands want to kind of dodge, move around those issues. They never really want to own it.
Yeah.
You know, and from a shop standpoint, like if I'm going to sell your product, I'll push it. I'll push it on all my customers. And if there's an issue with one of them,
We'll fix it.
I don't hold it against that brand
I mean,
because shit happens.
we could talk about yesterday.
But if I can call you and say, hey, like we had an issue, and you're like, cool, let's fix it, I'm going to continue to sell your brand.
Taking
mean,
notes. But I mean, like, that is a philosophy that we believe in. That's why we focus so much on customer service. Like, you can call right now, and it'll go straight to voicemail. But here in about 10 minutes, when Freddie Collins stops wrenching on one of his motorcycles at home, and he notices that Sawicki missed a call, you get a call back. I tested it this evening. He called right back. I test it all the time. You got to, you know, we make sure that we're all on point. They test me. We all test each other. It's a team that way. There's not a lot of bosses in the room. It's just a bunch of people who come together for something we believe in, and we're seeing it working. Fred believes in the customer service and the importance of it. He's way passionate about this brand. Jamie, same. I can go down the list. Like, everyone just leads with that amount of passion. And we give a shit. Like, if you're having a bad customer experience, don't blast it on the internet. Email us, call us, let us fix it. Having a problem ain't a problem. I say this a lot. Not fixing a problem, that's a problem. Like, we're handmade, they're made by human beings. They are not going to be perfect. It's kind of part of the point, to be real. Like, it has a soul, like things like this. And like someone put their actual energy into that pipe. And whenever you give a shit about your customer, they give a shit about you, and they have your back because you had theirs. It's really reciprocal. And it feels really healthy. Like, whenever that happens, we look for the opportunity to succeed. Yesterday, we were putting a fitment on a pipe, and we were having troubles putting the pipe on. We're sitting there going, man, what's going on? We thought the head pipes were wrong. I was like, well, let me make a phone call. 15 minutes before cutoff, we have 2 head pipes that are overnight on the way here, and they were here 5 minutes after we got to the shop, ready to go. And that's not just because I made the phone calls, because it was important. If I wasn't here and you needed that, they would do the same thing. Quick and in a hurry. Fix the problem. Let's put a Band-Aid on it, and then bring some flowers when we do it.
Yeah. And I think that's needed in this industry right
You
now.
just gotta take care of the people that are taking care of us.
Yeah.
What kind of flowers?
Dead ones. It's a great question.
So let me ask you how the relationship, or what drew you to working with Paige. Curious as to like what you saw.
So am I.
She's
She
like, yeah,
may or
why
may
am
not
I
have
here?
paid me to ask this question. No, I'm curious, like, you know, how did that form? How did that work out?
I've been a fan straight up since one of the first like paint jobs that I saw you do. And I was just like, wow, there's an elegance and a refinement to it, and it still has this like traditional, like lowrider vibe. There's all of these special things that fit in this package. You can look at the ST she has right now, and there is more than one style of paint on that motorcycle, and it works. Most times when people do that, it's too busy, I feel. It reminds me of Las Vegas carpet. You just got to look up so you don't see it. That's why they design it that way. And I've always been drawn to her work. And then come to find out through a couple of friends, she's also a really cool person.
Yeah.
And we all just want to work with people we like. And we have a few builds that are coming up this winter. We're going to be building out our fleet, the ones that you'll see around the country this year. We did over 30 events this year. And we'll do a similar number, but we're going to ride more than we drive. It's a different focus for this year. And I was like, I need a painter, and I've got a bunch of great, talented friends, but I want to work with someone that's kind of on the same level that Sawicki is on. You know, kind of a rebuilding situation is where we've been for the last 2 years. I think that's kind of over now. I think 2023, stamp, we're done. This is who we are. We're here. Everyone knows now. They know what to expect for the most part. And now it's time to do us and move forward. And knowing that Paige has been in transition, flexing her muscles in different ways of being a talented artist, not just with paint, fairing, but also with tattoo work and things like that. And she's, a family person. We love supporting people that are that. I mean, like my president has 5 children. He is not 40 years old. We're big on family.
Also, I harassed you quite a bit.
Yeah, it was
Let's not
good.
leave that out. I was like, hello. I love Sawicki pipes. And I'm like, that's what I want. And then I just sent you a lot of messages. So there was that.
I was very happy about it. I was like,
The squeaky wheel.
It works.
It does work.
It works. But I guess that's a good segue. Let's talk about Paige.
Hot
yes,
seat.
let's do it.
I'm so tired. I'm like, okay,
Wake up.
wake up. We got this.
It's like 6 o'clock at night. It's time to
It's
wake
my
up.
bedtime. Okay.
Painter's hours.
Yeah.
Right.
Believe it or not, we're neighbors, if you will. I mean,
Yeah.
we live 45 minutes, an hour away from each other,
Yep.
but we never really worked together. Never
Yeah,
really. I mean, we've ran into each other a couple times at events, and then other than that, it's like we just have not crossed paths.
Not enough, for sure.
So that was one of the reasons that like I was stoked to kind of do this, because like I get to work with Paige. Like I hear all about her, I see all of her stuff all around town, but I've never had the chance to really spend any time working with you, getting to know you a little bit, and so
I'm excited to work with you guys more.
Yeah.
Like I am really excited about that. I feel like from growing my business, I've always just kind of been in my little dungeon and I stayed in there and I kind of focused on all that. And I think after this move, I have the freedom to go start meeting people. I feel like that's super important. I feel like I've just cut myself off a little bit too much. So like coming down here was super cool because I'm like, meet a bunch of like-minded people and I'm like so ready for all these projects.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And to work with you guys. So you guys have,
it's been way cool, and I'm excited
so
to see
fun.
where this goes. I hope that it lasts a long time and the relationships just get
Thicker.
better and thicker.
Yeah.
and
Throw
more
some
involved,
cornstarch.
I'm
you
just
know.
going to
stir
come
it up.
here and
But,
I'm going to watch you use the dyno machine and cheer on from the outside.
Heck
Because that was
yeah.
so
The
much
doors
fun.
Always a good
I
day in
was
the
like,
dyno
"Woo!"
room.
The door's always open. So, but I'm curious. I want to know, like, how did you get to the point of painting that motorcycle that's sitting out back right now? Like, how do you get from? Did you grow up here? Let's start with that. Are you a Utah girl?
I've lived here since I was 8. So I'm
Okay.
actually from Canada,
Oh, okay.
from the Northwest Territories.
What brought you here?
My parents.
What brought them here?
My mom's Canadian and my dad is American.
Okay.
He went down there to do ice road trucking. So that's kind of where I grew up. There's freaking polar
Didn't you
bears.
tell me
and-
that they were like the ones that babysat you and stuff?
Yeah, the ice road truckers. Those were my old babysitters. So, yeah, my
Story gets even better.
I
Yeah.
know my birth certificate is Inuit, so it's like circles and squares and
Really?
yeah. When I went to go get my first piercing, they're like, "We can't fucking take this."
What is
Like,
this?
Circles and squares.
Yeah, for real, it's pretty sweet. But yeah, after he made a good amount of money, we moved here.
Okay.
And then have floated around here ever since.
So since 8, so you mostly grew up in the Salt Lake area?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
So how do you get from an 8-year-old girl in Salt Lake to painting that kind of stuff? That's what that's what I want to know.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Me too.
okay.
We got all the time in the world.
She's like, me too.
I know. I'm like,
make
how
up
do I
something
put
quick.
these together?
Because I just love to hear people's past on how, and that's
How it
an
started.
accomplishment. That's beautiful.
I'm really.
And
I'm
so
proud
like
of
I
that.
want to know, how does an 8-year-old girl listening to this right now get to
there.
that point?
That's a cute way of putting that. So cute. But my mom is a really talented artist. Like she has her like doctorate in pretty much art. She's been painting and drawing. She got me into it. I always
At a young age?
at a super young age
Okay.
from the very beginning. You know, she always is like, just here's a pen and paper or whatever it is. And I was trying to really get into graffiti in the beginning, and that didn't really work out.
Doesn't pay the bills?
doesn't pay the bills. I was like drawing horses when I was super young. I just always drew. I was always drawing. I actually really have always wanted to be a tattooer.
Okay.
Before I even got into paint, I feel like I'm just going to jump up to the point where I finally saw it. I'm like, this would be sweet. I got an airbrush, and I was dating Seth, and Seth owns Salt City Build, so he kind of saw that I was like, ooh, I just want to like airbrush some cool shit on a tank, like not even thinking about painting. And he's like, well, why don't you paint for us? And I'm like, I could quit my job. That's the first thing I said. I was like, I could quit my job.
What was your job?
I was a server.
I would want to quit that too.
I hated it.
I had that job.
I've had like
that job too.
3 apprenticeships with tattooing, you know, like none of it worked out. I was just like, the next thing that comes my way, I am like not going to let it go.
Just looking for anything to get away from serving.
Yeah. Anything. Because everyone's like, how's work? I'm like, I hate it, but I'd go home every night and I'd paint all night long, you know? So that was that whole story. But he's like, you could paint our bikes. And I'm like, freaking 2 months later, I quit my job way too soon. But really broke for the first little bit. But that allowed me to like really just focus on it. And I went to my local paint store and they taught me everything I needed to know, to the point where like I was bugging them. They're like, please call this guy. Stop talking to us. You know? And I'm like, okay, I'll go over there. So I had a ton of people helping me out in the beginning. And then I saw fucking 70s style chopper shit and lowriders. I was like, oh my God, those are like,
Love it.
there we go. Yep. I didn't think I was a sparkly gal until I was like rainbows and sparkles on everything, you know? And then that all took me here. That's,
What year was that?
I think I've been painting for like 7
Okay.
years now.
So you got some years under your belt.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, for
And
sure.
it's 7 years full time.
Yep.
Because you pretty much just
I've focused on it.
didn't show up for your serving shift.
No, I'm like, I am out of here.
Somebody else can have my tables.
Yep. I'm like, I'm out.
So do you think that the beginning was a struggle, right? Do you think that was important to your process?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Like I needed to struggle, like saving up money so I could buy primer, so I could paint something, you know, and then getting your first job. It just makes you appreciate everything.
The process.
Yeah. Being humbled by all that stuff just makes you really grateful for everything. Like I just feel like I've moved 100 times, you know, finally got my big shop, you know, 5,000 square feet, beautiful paint booth that I've always wanted to fit. I could fit a full-size Sprinter in there. And I was like, this isn't it. I thought it was. I thought I was going to like have employees and do all this stuff. And I was like, no, I want to simplify so I can have fun again. Like, I don't need all that. So we downsized, and now I'm being humbled again. And I'm like, honestly, I'm pretty grateful for it.
Well, there was a pretty big life event that happened in the middle of all
I
that.
also had a baby.
That little carbon copy running around. all
Yeah.
cute.
She's
That
so
definitely
cute.
throws a wrench into the cog there. I mean,
Well, we just
because you and your husband, you and Seth kind of were running that together, right?
Well, so when I was first pregnant, that shop wasn't even available. I had no idea that was going to be our next move. And I think I was 3.5 months pregnant when that shop came up. And I know John, and I'm like, I can't, like, there's no way I can pass this up. Like, I can't. And I also can't do this alone. So Seth's like, okay, let's do it. You know, he's like, I could probably manage his motorcycle shop and the paint shop. And our dreams are to make custom bikes and cars together, you know?
How cool.
I'm really excited about that. Why did I start all that? Oh, but pretty much I went to go paint a jet car for House of Color. I was 4 months pregnant. I also look like a spaceman when I paint. Like, I was super careful. But when I was doing that, he moved out my whole paint shop into an enclosed trailer. That enclosed trailer right there, that was my whole paint shop.
Oh, wow.
Teeny, 500 square feet was my...
You are grateful.
Yeah, yeah. I know. He's like, so I went in there and I'm like, okay, teach me how to paint cars. I got, like a week to figure this out. Because I know I can paint cars, but I need to know a little bit about the process, So I did that, and then he left, and I was like, we have to make this whole shop look new, because it looked a little, like it's been worked in.
It's a paint shop.
It's a paint shop. So we did all that. I worked till 4 days before I gave frickin' birth. I was polishing a Zephyr on the ground. He'd have to pick me up. My ankles were this big. And then after that, I'm like, yeah, we had employees. I just was not my thing. I thought it would be, but it just wasn't my thing. I'm like, I want to downsize. I want to have fun. I want to get back to my roots of just having freedom to do cool shit. And right after I did all that, I feel like this relationship happened, and we're talking about some really cool stuff. And I'm like, don't even fucking pay me. I'm like, I'm just excited to do this, So, yeah, we're still settling, but I'm really excited.
So you guys moved out of a 5,000 square foot shop into a home shop
to my
behind your
backyard again.
house.
Yep. Then I can focus on it. I can wake up at 6 a.m, go straight to work, or stay, just
Stay as late as you want because
Yep.
you're already home.
Yeah.
and be with my kid all the
Yeah.
time. And also, I don't need to take anything I don't want to take, which is the most important thing
Yeah.
for me.
Are you going to continue to tattoo?
Yep. I found I have a little tattoo shop in Salt Lake. I'm actually tattooing in Jackson once a month
Oh, okay.
because my friend has a shop there.
What shop is it?
Teton Beauty Lounge.
Right now, you know where to find her. There you go.
Yep, Teton Beauty Lounge. She does like tattoos, like eyebrows and
Oh, okay.
microblading and stuff. But she's like, I already have a spot. Like, let's just do this. I'm like, yes.
That's
So,
cool.
That's really cool.
That's way cool.
It's hard though because I am a mom and I'm trying to do all this stuff, and it's hard to find the time. I'm like trying to do my Instagram, trying to get content. You guys know how this goes. It's like, is there something I can drop? Is there one thing that I don't have to do?
No, there's not.
There's
There's
you
three
just
other
gotta
things
figure
you
it
haven't
out.
thought of
Yeah,
yet.
there's probably more things you
Oh,
need
I
to
want
pick
to
up.
do upholstery. I want to freaking metal engrave. I'm like, it's gonna keep going, So,
Well, I think you keep grinding and you're going to get there.
yep,
I mean, you've got the drive.
yep,
That's clear. So yeah, you keep grinding it. I mean, might take a little longer now, but I think at the same time, when your daughter gets to an age where she can start to understand some of this stuff, like you're going to show her things, you're going to teach her things without even knowing that you're teaching her things. I mean, you probably already are, and she's
Yep.
one. You know
Yep.
what I mean? She's gonna see a work ethic, chasing dreams and passions and working hard, like all those things you're gonna just inadvertently like put out there, and she's gonna absorb all that. And when she
Yeah.
grows up, she's gonna have all that stuff, and you didn't even like talk to her about it. It's just part of who she is.
Yep.
I think that's the cool part.
yeah, and especially being with her all the time.
Yeah.
Like whenever, like if it's my day to watch her, she naps for almost 3 hours a day. Go to the backyard.
I'm jealous.
Freaking work.
You're right.
It makes
I
it
wanna
like it
nap
works
right
almost all the
now.
time.
Sounds amazing.
It's so great.
Yeah.
It's great. No, I think it was the right move. Every once in a while, I'm like, fuck, what did I do?
You got a pretty good support staff, really. You've got, your folks are still here, right? Or is it his folks?
Yeah, my parents watch her 1 day a week, and his parents watch her for 2. And then between me and him, I'm like,
Yeah.
we're great. We're great.
I mean,
It's
it
all
takes a
working out.
village. I remember when I grew up, was
a lot of work.
in the middle of nowhere, Swamp, Louisiana. Like, your parents weren't the only ones.
Mm-hmm.
Like, sometimes your parents were the least of them, depending on what they had going on in the neighborhood, or your family, whichever your situation is, just comes together and takes care of each other. And that's really rad. I mean, like, you've got your parents and in-laws seeing exactly what you guys are doing, and they're a part of all of it.
Yeah,
That's
and
really cool.
I always heard it takes a village, and now I understand,
understand
that.
what
I'm
that
like,
means.
oh my gosh,
Yeah.
I can't do anything if she's around. I whip out my iPad, and her greasy little fingers are slapping it.
Yeah.
I'm like, she's trying to eat it. I'm like, I can't work right now.
Well, we were having that conversation earlier. I mean, you just moved recently, and for that very reason, it's nice to have family around because it just, it's nice. I have 4 kids myself, and without family, like it's so nice to be able to have family around where you
Yeah.
can drop the kids at at the grandparents' house or whoever, and you know that they're taken care of. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like you can trust. Like it puts your mind at ease so that you can go and focus on work.
Yeah.
Versus like,
Or even
drop it-
yourself for
yeah.
a minute.
Yeah.
Just sit down for 10 minutes,
take a
close your eyes
break.
and breathe.
Yeah. Reset.
And that was
You
another
know?
big point. I'm like, either by doing this, it makes it so we can really focus. What are you
Party
doing?
foul. One beer and this is
priceless.
I'm very disappointed in myself right now.
Also, can I go to the baño?
yes.
Okay. I'm like, no or yes?
Yeah.
I'm just a guest.
Thanks.
He's so fat, sorry.
Yeah. Go ahead while Mr.
Clean
Truck.
up on aisle 4. Dump truck payload.
It's all going to go downhill from here.
Is there another
I
way?
swear, like, the colder the weather gets, like, my nose just starts closing up.
Yeah, it gets dry. It gets drier in the winter.
Sinuses get like that?
My sinuses are always jacked.
Yeah.
We don't even talk about why. All the innuendos. All of them. Yeah, absolutely. Like whenever the winter shows up, everything for like we don't use humidifiers in the house. We live in North Carolina. You don't need humidifiers, but in the wintertime, you do. Absolutely. Like I mean, your whole sinus cavity will end up getting mad at you.
Yeah.
49 minutes.
Already?
That just flew by.
Yeah.
Goes
It's going
by.
really well.
Yeah.
I like
Time flies when you're having fun.
it. Ah, shit. You're right.
I'm going to cry later because you're going to leave again.
Ah, yes. Use the tears for lube is my recommendation.
Tears of lube.
This
Is there much lube to tears?
There's one way to find out. Just ask Tony tomorrow.
I want a full. No, I don't.
No, wait, well, I don't know. You know, a whole tech
Don't
tip
wanna know.
article
You do
on
not wanna
using
know.
tears for
Yeah.
lubrication.
I know.
Feels so much better. Oh. I really tried not to.
It gets cold in here, doesn't it?
Yeah, at the beginning, I'm like, give me your sweater.
I know, I'm
Are you
freezing.
cold?
Nope.
Oh,
He's over here
okay. I'm like,
sweating.
Yeah.
I got a sweater on my legs. No, I feel better. Didn't know if that was a thing. I'm like, but I have to.
It's like, may I?
not gonna
We
do
are all adults. You do whatever you like.
Yeah. That's a thing.
Raising my hand for it.
Got to give you the bathroom pass, though.
You're like, you only get one of these.
Yeah.
So,
Use it wisely.
yep.
This is the one.
Okay.
Where we leave off there?
I forgot.
Baby in the house. Oh, you asked a question about. Well, we were talking about having support,
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
right?
Yep. Yeah.
Well, just using that support to, go to work and be able to focus on work, or
Yeah.
using that support to just reset, catch your breath. It can be huge. I mean, and I've been lucky and blessed that I've had tons of family around
Yeah.
that have allowed me that support. And sometimes you take it for granted.
Yeah.
And then you hear some people that, they don't have it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, oh yeah, I have a lot of that. And it's been really great. So it's kind of one of those things that I've probably been guilty of being unappreciative of how much I've had. But
Yeah,
it's huge.
You're gonna
And
reflect after this now. And you're gonna reflect after this. You're gonna send some text messages.
Be like,
They're gonna be like, hey, I don't know the last time I told you, but I love you.
Yeah.
And that's gonna count.
For sure. So, I mean, and it's good to hear those stories because then it does make me reflect on myself, what I do have, and maybe what I haven't appreciated. So, it's cool.
Mm-hmm.
It's cool. That's what I love hearing. I love hearing these stories because, for one, I'm curious on how people get from an 8-year-old girl to
Yeah.
a
That bike
master
is
painter.
crazy.
The bike is so cool.
It's
you can't
really
say
rad.
enough about the bike.
We're gonna try though.
We
Honestly,
said a lot about it in the last 2 days.
I
Yeah.
feel like I have not been able, like you said, for 2 years it's been a shit show. You said that too. I'm like, my last 2 years, not super, just been crazy. I haven't had fun painting in a while because of all the moves and all the things we've been doing. So I'm like right around the corner to starting to do that kind of
Kind
stuff
of
again. And I'm
reset,
like,
get back to what you enjoy doing.
yeah, I can't
loving it
wait.
again.
This
Yeah.
is just getting me so excited for it.
I mean, I'd be curious to hear from you guys because I have tendencies where I get to the point where I don't enjoy motorcycling at times.
That happens, yeah.
And I have to find, it's like I have to search for things that excite me again.
Yeah. Well, so
time sometimes.
Most of my motorcycle experience has involved me emceeing events and all of that, which is literally one of the best jobs ever. Like, your whole job is to be more fun than everyone else. And then to also give everyone that's at your event in front of you permission to enjoy themselves. And that is really like a big part. Yeah, sponsor plugs, pay bills, whatever. But it's really about the energy part of it. And it's all fun, straight up, every ounce of it. I lived 9.5 years on a motorcycle doing nothing but that as the voice for Harley, Jack Daniels, women's roller derby. There's nothing boring about any of those three when they're happening all at once.
Trifecta of fun.
I know.
Boy, it's an overload. But at
Too much.
Yeah, I mean,
Sometimes.
Eventually, everything needs a newness. Even when your job is to be fun, and that really is what the job was, and still is. I still MC some things. But like, I needed a different kind of satisfaction. That felt after a point, it started to feel kind of self-serving. And I'm definitely not that human. I'm there to share everything I've got, including all of my energy. And it didn't feel like that anymore. And it started to feel just like work all the time. And no matter what you're doing for a living, it shouldn't just always feel like fucking work. Like, should be something else that you get out of it beyond a paycheck. And even if what that something is because of the paycheck and it happens after the fact, like, I want to go do this and the job helped me do that, and so I like my job. But for me, it's like I'm the product. I'm really accessible, and no one can see anything beyond the guy yelling and screaming into a microphone, running around, having a blast, and I'm a one-trick pony now. And that bothered me in a big way. I was like, I got to do something else. Like, I want to do bigger things. I'm not just going to be a jackwagon for, my entire career. Like, once I've hit 30, I really needed more out of my life. I'm 43 now. And I started to like back off from emceeing and try to find other ways to excite myself in motorcycling, which is weird to say when you live on a motorcycle, literally no address. That's the dream. But at some point, you still need more. I still need more. And the transition's hard. There's a lot of broken points there where, like, you're questioning all your moves. You don't have any money, which also leads you back to questioning all your moves again. And you still don't know what you want. You just know what you don't want, which is really powerful, by the way. If what you know is what you don't want, that's a huge thing. Stay away from that. Go find everything else. Sometimes it's about just not doing what you don't want to be doing. And what's left is what you do want. And it just really... It made me think about how I want to be seen. How do I want to be remembered? Number one, when I die, I just want people to think that it was better when I was there. That's it. I don't want anything else. But professionally, I need more satisfaction. I need to do more. I need to leave a different mark than just being Johnny Goodtimes. I want to be also Johnny Goodtimes, but I have the mind of a marketer. And I've been given opportunities, and right now is the biggest opportunity of my life to be a part of Sawicki and be a part of something way bigger than me and help it succeed. And through that success, help the people around you succeed. I am so excited about everyone that's sitting here. I've always respected you and your brand. We've been able to work together and become beautiful friends for a long time now, and respect the hell out of you. I respect the hell out of you, and we're growing our friendship. And now we're all together. Like, that is why I do it. Like, I want to work with all these people. Oh, they happen to be local. Well, maybe I can instigate Stripecult and Tucker Speed working together because we worked together this one time, and maybe that makes Sawicki a part of both of their lives as well. And let's see how it continues to trickle. Oh, Hotbike's here. Well, maybe there's all sorts of ways that we can collaborate with that. And it's everything for me to be able to be seen as a serious person, and sometimes, and also still really fun and welcoming, and hopefully the guy that you want to hug when you walk into a room and see. But it's just been really satisfying to find like my own way, and to find a way that feels more adult and more substantial of a contribution to a community that, I have to be real honest with myself, held my hand for a long time.
Well, I think, from my perspective, this industry, I shouldn't even say that. The world is a better place because of Dumptruck. And I can honestly say that. I mean, to the point where my 12-year-old girl still remembers the first time we saw you emceeing an event. She does a Dumptruck imitation,
I need to
which
see
is
that.
golden.
I need to see
And,
that.
and I mean, and I think that you've impacted, I mean, or even just the fact that, like I said, me and Paige live 45 minutes from each other, but we haven't crossed paths. You're the reason that we're sitting here today. You just took my path and her path and went like this, and now we're sitting here.
And now we're going to do some
that
cool
takes a
shit together.
special someone
Yep.
to see that.
Thanks.
I mean, and you know, so thank you.
Yeah, I love putting people together. It's how I got here. Someone gave me a shot at the title and said, you need to go meet these people and see what happens from it. And, you know, years later, here we're sitting. I don't know that there's something else I'm supposed to be doing. Really, what I do for Sawicki is bring people together, whether you're a customer or a distributor or a dealer or whatever the hell it is. My job is to bring everyone together. I mean, that's one of our mantras, louder together. And it doesn't just mean exhaust pipes, you know?
Yeah.
It's everything. Like, our message as a community is louder together. It's softer individually.
Well, I think that's why you're perfect for what you're doing with them. That, you know, you do that naturally. I think you do that. You're bringing people together, and what better way to build a brand than to just bring people together, build an
Community.
army of people who believe in you and your brand. You're perfect for what you're doing with Sawicki, and they're probably perfect, you know, for you.
They give me so much freedom. I feel like an entrepreneur. Like, that's how much oversight I don't have. Like, everyone trusts that you were hired for a reason. So go do it.
Yeah.
And check back in with us at our weekly meetings. And if you need something, don't hesitate. But go and do. Don't ask. Go and do. This isn't really a job where you check in with your boss and you ask, hey, how does this sound to you? You know, the only time that happens is when we have budget meetings. And that's when all things get approval. Beyond that, go and do. Don't ask. Go and do. If we didn't like it, we'll talk about it after the fact.
That's rare.
It's super
That's
rare.
like unheard of.
I'm unbelievably grateful, especially with the way that I met Chris. I know I talk about him a lot, and I really respect and I'm grateful for him. And it's like we just met being a couple of assholes having a great time at a SEMA after party. And then, you know, he goes, I don't know how or when, but someday I'm going to hire you. And I was like, I don't know if I'll do that or not, but all right. And then here we are.
Yeah.
He's a sharp cookie, that Chris.
Man, I
Want
tell
to meet
you,
him?
Yeah, I mean, I haven't had the chance to meet him, but
you're going
Would love
to
to.
absolutely love that experience.
Would
That
love
man is great.
we're going to make it happen.
Yes, absolutely. We got to bring you out to Charlotte.
You just tell me when.
Come on with it. I fly out tomorrow at like
Fit
2.
your
You want to come on to my suitcase? You got a real big backpack.
Hold you up.
But speaking of, you know, bringing people together, another reason that Jordan's here, you know, it's because of you. It's what you do. You know, you sent me a text a week or two ago, I don't know when it was, and said, you know, do you care if Jordan comes out? And it's like, yes, please. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Be careful what you wish for.
We'll report back in a couple weeks here. No,
I completely changed my mind.
damn you.
Keep him.
JK.
Yeah. But, you know, for people that have been living under a rock, I mean, Hotbike magazine disappeared for a while,
It did.
and
On the
it's back.
surface.
Well, I'm sure there's a ton of backstory behind it all, and that I want to hear about that. It's hard because I got so many people to talk to right now, and I want to hear their stories. It's like I want to talk to everybody.
Stock the pond today, baby.
Yeah,
Yeah.
This is a full house. But I want to hear about Hotbike,
Hotbike. What do you want to know?
all of it.
All of it. Okay, let's see.
Let's see. It says established in 1971. So let's
Yes.
start there.
Yeah.
Seems like a good place to start.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the beginning.
So Hotbike, 1971. It started as kind of that performance custom magazine that was an offshoot of Street Chopper. And I don't know if you're familiar with Street Chopper magazine, but that was also another long-running magazine brand. Started by Tom McMullen, you know, Uncle Tom up there. But he was a nut. He was an awesome guy, visionary guy. Just, he started a lot of different pubs that, you know, I'm fortunate now to be the current vessel to kind of carry on that legacy. And this brand, to me, it means a lot to me. It's where I started in my career. You know, it's been a long-running magazine since 1971, and I started in the motorcycle industry, the custom, I guess, motorcycle industry in 2006 with Hotbike magazine, straight out of college. I actually went to college. I don't know why, but I didn't know what else to do, right? So I thought,
it's just what kids are supposed to do nowadays, right?
I drank the Kool-Aid and I went to college, and then it landed me this job. So I guess it's not
the worst thing,
right? But
you went to college for, you said journalism?
I did.
How stoked were your parents about that move?
I used to get a daily newspaper. Do you guys remember those things?
Daily news?
Newspapers.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Just in general.
I have a subscription.
Once a day. And then
By
you
a kid
fold
on a
this thing up.
bicycle.
There's stories in them, and they leave this cool like residue on your hands and shit. But I don't even know. Do people like? I don't get a daily paper anymore.
I don't get a daily one. I get the Sunday.
You do?
Yeah.
Do you?
I don't.
No.
I want to now.
Yeah, some
Honestly.
You'll find out a lot of
newspapers
stuff
still
before you
publish a
see it on the
paper.
news, because everything you see on the news trickles from your local news. So if you really want to know what's going on, newspapers are a really great resource.
They can be.
Yeah,
for sure.
depending on what you're looking for. I'm new to my area. I haven't lived in Charlotte but like a year. So for me, like the best way to kind of get to know it is to listen to what people are talking about.
Yeah. So anyway, I kind of went off on a tangent there, but where was I going with that, Tony? No idea.
Journalism.
Journalism. Okay,
You went to college for journalism.
I went to college for journalism, and you know, like after I graduated, I was working at an alternative weekly in I lived in Huntington Beach, and I was working for a alt weekly called OC Weekly, and like I had made it, dude. Like this was the best thing ever. I loved to write. I loved like there was always something new to write about. It would challenge me. It challenged like, you know, like reporting and storytelling and things like that, and being curious and finding out about the world I'm living in or the community I'm living in. It was the best thing ever. And then, you know, that didn't work out for a long time. So then like this opportunity came along, and I grew up around motorcycles. It's kind of in my blood because my grandfather and my uncle owned a motorcycle dealership in the town that I grew up in good old Bakersfield, California. You ever been there?
Oh, absolutely. Right on through it.
Yeah. Hey, man.
What? No, I have been there. There was a roller derby tournament, actually.
Yeah. People aren't going there on vacation. Let's just put it that way.
Great music.
People are fleeing there to go somewhere else on vacation. But yeah, good music, good old town. Actually, I grew up there and I enjoyed it. But worked at the dealership, became obsessed with motorcycles when I was younger, and then, you know, that just kind of turned into a passion, right? Full circle kind of came when I started working here, and then, you know, just kind of dove in with both hands and feet, straight out of J school, and just soaked up every ounce of like the industry that I could. And we'd go to, you know, these trade shows, and we'd go, here was how it was presented to me. Okay, here's your camera, and go to this event and take some pictures and come back and write a story. And like that, those were my marching orders, right? So
That's
like,
awesome.
take this motorcycle and go ride it, and tell us what you think about it. Here's some cool new products. Put these on your bike and install them, and
That's
then
a
write
whole
about
bunch
it
of fuck
and
yeah.
tell people what you think about it. And I was like, this is my life.
This is real?
This is the job. And I just kind of like, obviously, how hard is it to not fall in love with something like that? So I did, and, you know, worked my way up the ladder and became senior editor of this magazine. And then I got an opportunity to be the editor for Baggers magazine. I don't know if you guys remember that magazine, but that was like another magazine that became an offshoot of Hotbike. And I did that for a few years, and then came back full circle in 2018 and had, a year to kind of do this, baggers, and street chopper and motorcycle cruiser. And then I got laid off in 2019. Just had a baby. My daughter was like
Perfect
a month
timing.
old. And then they're like, hey, can you come in? By the way, you're let go. Bye. I'm like, but I just had this baby and I got to feed her and stuff. Anything? No? Oh.
Wow.
Yeah, you know what?
Yep.
It's the publishing industry, and it's kind of like you saw the writing on the wall. You didn't want to accept it. I lasted a lot longer than I think should have, as most people in that world. But I don't really even blame the company. I mean, maybe a little mismanagement, but the world shifted, and the print publishing revenue model didn't exist anymore because, it just wasn't coming in like hand over fist like it used to. Digital media came around, social media came around, started replacing things, and then that publishing model with like, so much overhead and so much personnel and so many like office spaces, like places in Manhattan, right? That are like, God knows how much per month.
Yeah.
Right. And just the business couldn't sustain. So they started chopping magazines. And unfortunately, this became one of those. I was laid off. After that, I went to go work at Arch Motorcycle Company, which was a great experience for me because it kind of put me on the other side of the fence from being like the fan of the bikes to actually being on the side of like the production side and seeing how things go and how things are made and like, being part of that cog in the wheel, so to speak, right? But the sales and the marketing side of it and the relationship management side of it. And that was great. And I really enjoyed it. And I worked with Gard and Keanu, two super passionate individuals that like I've never even seen drive a car. I don't think they even own cars.
Really?
They only ride motorcycles. Yeah.
That I didn't know.
To this day.
I knew that they rode almost every single day.
Every single day. Like
I didn't realize they didn't really do the car thing at all.
Gard.
That's tight.
Yeah.
He's got a truck that he kind of like donated to the shop, but I don't think he drives it.
He's like, this thing's
I don't
in
think
the
I've
way.
ever seen him
Can I
drive
park
it,
it here?
honestly. Keanu, I think it's nice for him because
dude
it gives
loves
him
motorcycles,
he loves
man.
motorcycles. It gives him that like maybe that sense of anonymity. I've never asked him, right? But like, he's a huge motorcyclist. Has been ever since he started riding. And it was nice being around that, and it kind of reignited my passion. And you talked about like becoming jaded, and it does happen. I've worked in this industry for I don't know how long. Where are we at?
You say
almost
06?
20 years.
Yeah. Long enough for it to start to just feel
Wear on you.
repetitive. at
Where it feels
times.
repetitive, right? And it definitely doesn't help commuting in LA traffic.
No.
Yeah.
Splitting lanes or not,
Dangerous.
it's still not a
Yeah.
good time.
It definitely makes a difference, but it's like, dude, it sucks the joy out of it. Let's just put it that way. But they kind of helped reignite that passion. And then in 2021, and I'm getting back to this, I promise. I saw an article that the company that published this, that was still the owner of it, they had sold a few of the other titles that they published, Cycle World, Motorcyclist, Dirt Rider, and maybe one or two others. They sold those titles to another company called Octane Group. And I noticed Hotbike wasn't a part of that transaction. So immediately I'm like, oh, I wonder what's going to happen with that, right? And then I started thinking
Did you
about
feel like did you have like personal tie, like did it strike an emotion? Like, did you feel bad for Hotbike because they weren't purchased, or
No.
like
Not at all.
I'm just curious, like what was going through your head when you saw that they weren't part of the purchase? Like, did it hurt your feelings because like that was, you were part of that and they got overlooked, or was there anything like that?
Not at all. You know what? I saw opportunity. That's all I saw.
Okay.
So
So
I
when
only
it-
saw opportunity. And
So you were excited that they,
I was way excited. And I didn't even know what I was excited about yet because I didn't even form the thought of like, hey, I want to buy this.
It's like my tail's
It's just
wagging, but I
kinda
don't know
like-
why, but it's wagging.
There was something in me that's like, oh my God, I want to buy that. But I'm like, Can I buy that?
How do you buy? Like, how do you buy?
How do you
Hotbike?
buy Hotbike? Like, that literally went through my
That would
head.
be what I would think.
And I didn't know how to even do that. So I just
Yeah.
kind of put one foot in front of the other, and I called, the CEO, which when I got laid off, he was not the CEO, but he was actually kind of a mentor of mine. But he became the CEO in the time that I was working at Arch. And then I, just reached out to him and I said, hey, what are you guys going to do with that, man? Like, level with me. And he's like, honestly, we don't know, but it's costing us more than we're making because they're not doing anything with it. So, I think we're just going to shut it down. I was like, just shut it down, huh? All right. Would you sell it, right? I think I even asked that. Like, duh, of course, he's in the business of selling titles, right? So, but again, I don't know shit. I don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
I know how to tell stories and write and put together a package. I think I try, but I don't know how to buy a business. I don't know how to buy the IP or whatever. So I started thinking about it, and I called up a buddy of mine. I was like, dude, Hotbike didn't go with that transaction. I'm curious about maybe buying it. And he's like, you should. I'll support you, man. If you want some help, let's do a 50-50. And so we raised the funds or before I get into raising the funds, I was like, okay, hey, CEO guy, I don't know how much this even costs, right? How do you attach a dollar figure to this? And he's like, well, we had an evaluation done and it's somewhat valuated at this, right? And I was like, oh shit. That's kind of what I thought, right? So I'm like, okay.
That's not going to
dream's
happen.
gone.
Yeah, it's that was a nice thought.
That was a split second thought that was cool for a minute. And then, I was like, wait a minute. He said they're just going to shut it down. And I talked to my friend and I was like, dude, they just said they're just going to shut it down. So they'd rather get something than nothing, I would think. Right. And so I threw him a number, and he was like, yeah, no, we can't really do that. So I was like, well, that's what I got. And 2 days later, he's like, listen, because it's you and you're a passionate guy and you want to do this, we'll give it to you for this. And that was a lot higher than I was like, it was scary as shit, right? I'm like, this is not like buying a car because I don't know what the fuck is on the other side if I buy it, right? At least with a car, there's some kind of tangible.
You put your hands on it, right?
Yeah,
It's-
right? Okay, let's do it. And I was like, hey, Ashley, I want to buy this business. You cool with that? And she's like, what?
This is your wife?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And she
God bless
wasn't just
her.
thinking you're insane.
She most days thinks that.
Yeah.
So she's used to it by now. So I think she understood that I'm a very passionate person. I have a lot of drive, a lot of ambition. Sometimes it's very unrealistic. And she gets that. And maybe that's what she likes about me. Maybe that's what drives her nuts. Maybe a bit of both.
It's probably both.
Right.
A little bit of column A, a little bit of column B.
Yeah, absolutely. But she supported it from the beginning. And God bless her, because without her love and support, I couldn't have done it, because I'm constantly second guessing my decisions. And I'm always like, hey, what do you think of this? What do you think of this? And she's like, yeah, it's good. Or no, that's lame. You should not do that. Not so with this. So long story short, we bought this in 2021. And at the time, we didn't really know what we wanted to do. Did we want to bring a magazine back? It wasn't on the forefront of our thinking. It was just like, let's get the rights and then figure that out, right? Let's get at least the website, let's convert it to a new CMS so it's at least updated. This old, dilapidated, I think it was a Drupal. Do you guys know anything? This is boring shit for all the people out there.
My eyes started
Drupal
crossing.
7 CMS it was old and clunky, and it just kept stalling, and it was bad. So we updated that. The social sites still had a good audience that was still engaged, if you can believe it. You know what's interesting? A lot of people didn't even know the Hotbike went anywhere, And that was what was fascinating to me. Yeah. Industry people knew because I think some press releases were put out, but
You think generally,
general
the general public didn't really know. They didn't miss it,
They didn't. I mean,
or they just didn't.
The
It was still
subscribers obviously knew, you know,
Uh-huh.
that they weren't getting a magazine anymore, and they
Right.
all of a sudden started getting, Motorcyclist, and then Cycle World, and then nothing. This is all pre me buying this, but then all of a sudden, it was gone. But generally speaking, like anybody who's just kind of on the outside looking in, they might not have even known.
That's the position of power where you're in, being able to acquire that IP for a more manageable number than they offered at first, and still having your actual audience, the people that count,
Yeah,
very much engaged and paying attention and waiting for what's coming next.
yeah, yeah. And a lot of people were behind it, but it's interesting and how the social algorithms work and all that, and you'd think you could just fire it back up and start churning out content, and it's just gonna crush, but it didn't, and it took a little while to get back to where it needed to be and where it is today, but it didn't just turn back on and it was all good, you know. So it's taken some time, but like I said, backing up a little bit, what was the vision? Were we going to bring a magazine back? It never was off the table. It was kind of we don't know. Let's find out. Let's see. And then after a year of doing hotbike.com and just putting out content on the website and through the social sites, it just felt like it was missing something, right? It was missing this.
The end game.
And I think too, it's look, social media is great. It's also, it's like a blessing and a curse, right? Because it can almost be a vice, right? It can almost control how you spend your time
Hell
if
yes.
you let it, right? And it can almost be oh, I gotta get away from that, right? I think in the beginning it was entertaining, and it was a cool new medium to share stories, and oh, look at this picture, and oh, did you see what so and so shared, and look at it. And then videos started becoming a bigger thing on Instagram and whatnot, and it was oh yeah, look at this, and it was just everybody competing to be the same storyteller, content producer, and whatnot, and it's it was cool, but then it was gone. It's in your feed and gone, and then there was just nothing to really cement substantial things in time, right? There are some great video channels, stuff that I'm obsessed with that I'm this is great,
Yeah.
right? And those are one thing, but I think certain social feeds or social channels, they can be good, but they can also be bad, right? But anyway, the long story short, I wanted something more out of Hotbike, and I wanted it to return to kind of what it was known for, was producing a magazine. And I thought we'd try it, right? So we raised the funds. We brought some awesome partners on, like Sawicki Speed in the very beginning, that saw our vision and believed in it. And a lot of other brand partners and great, subscribers and audience people that just were longing for it again. And we're just blessed to be able to do it. It's really a passion project for us, and it's for this community to kind of have that one place where they can kind of return to that is frozen in time, that is something tangible and tactile. This is a motorcycle industry that we're talking about, right? We ride motorcycles, and we want to see things, and we want to feel that wind in our hair, right?
All the good stuff.
But feeling that and the pages, and there's something physical about it, right? And it has to be, I think, still around. And at least that was my thinking. So that's what we did, and we're on. This is issue 3 we just published. It's on sale now. Actually, we just finished issue 4. We're doing 4 a year, and we just signed on to start doing 4 next year in 2024, which you can get those at hotbike.com.
Boom.
And soon to be coming to retail stores to be announced. So I will definitely keep you posted on that. But we'll also be doing some events. We're going to be doing some other fun stuff in 2024. So that's kind of where we're at. And it's all just been fun. It's been a hell of a lot of work, but it's been worth every second.
You feel like the gears are turning now to where you can kind of maintain it and then also continue to grow it? Or you
Well, that's what I wanted to know.
Or
Like,
is
as
the
far as the
scramble still
print
alive?
side, you know, just the economics of the print side, do you think it's something that can stay? Or is
I
it
do.
still too early to tell?
No,
I
I
mean-
do see the economics where it can stay. It has to be done a certain way, right? It has to be done.
Because I can imagine that, you know, just getting this magazine here is
Yeah.
not cheap.
It depends. It depends. You know, there's a lot that goes into it, right? So the production and the printing and the ink and the paper, yeah, it's expensive. It's
But yeah,
costly.
but I mean, but also like everything that's in here,
yeah.
all the content, the
content,
photos. I mean,
yeah.
that's somebody going out and taking pictures and writing a story, and all that is. I mean, there's so much there.
The organization part of it alone
Yeah.
is intimidating. Like I can only.
It is.
I've been a very small cog in your wheel before. I've written a couple of articles like in the past for Hotbike, and like
Yeah.
you look through it, and I'm going, okay, that required this much conversation with me, and my part is like very small. And you look at something else, you go, this is complicated.
Well, and then I can just imagine. I can imagine, like, you know, you get these photos and these stories and these photos, and you get enough, and you get this pile, and like, how do you now lay it out into a magazine
Yeah.
that looks pretty? You know what I mean? Like,
his name's Robert Martin, and he's a total stud. But you know what? It's you do it for so long, you guys, and you understand. Like it's just becomes second nature.
Yeah.
But yes, there's budgets to think about, but then that becomes like, it's really about strategy and planning and execution and being efficient, as efficient as you can, while still wanting to create a quality product, which I feel like we've done, because I think the audience deserves that. And the other thing too is like, I don't know if you saw this yet, Tony, but like we do a pull-out poster.
Oh, yes.
In every one of these issues. So if you see this,
That's tight.
we hired, like, in my opinion, one of the best in the business, Jason Cruz, because he's just got like such a cool, unique style. And I saw it and I was like, I want you to do a pull-out poster in every issue. Are you interested? He's like, yeah. And you know, we've done that, and it's exciting to like get people stoked. Like, I'll tell you another thing too: photographers and writers, they all want to be part of this.
Absolutely.
They want to do this stuff, and they'll, you know,
well,
contribute.
it's probably because magazines are probably one of the reasons they are in that field.
Well, if you can't touch it, it ain't real. And that's one of the challenges to stay motivated for me, to stay motivated to exist in the digital world so much. You can't touch it. That's not, you're never touching it. You're only touching the device that you're, that's a conduit for whatever content that there is.
Yeah.
This you can touch, you can
It's
feel,
real.
you can smell
It's
the
there.
ink.
Yeah. Like I was saying earlier, like just holding it.
yeah.
It's got a nice.
It's got a
weight.
nice feel. Like, I mean, it's like it just feels different than when I grab my phone, and I could look at the same photos here, but it feels different.
Yeah.
And I can set this here, and I can walk back in the morning, and it's still sitting right there.
Yeah, you don't lose it in a feed, never to be found again.
Yeah,
I don't
'cause
know
that's
how many
just it,
times
like,
my fat fingers hit the damn phone, and it just goes back to the top,
and
and I
you
can't
never
find this one thing. And
yeah,
it's like, God,
but it's also a little
my life
bit
is
like
over.
you know, like this cover bike. Like that's the cover bike for this issue.
Yeah.
For the rest of time.
Yeah. Yeah.
If I
yeah.
saw this bike, I would just swipe, you know, just scroll up, and I would look at the next bike and the next bike and the next bike. But this one will live on that cover for the rest of time.
and that bike deserves that kind of attention.
Oh, I totally agree.
And that's what you give builders and creators a place to really present their life's work, like
You just nailed it. Yeah.
at the highest level, right? Like there's no
Yeah.
tchotchke stuff in this magazine at all.
This is for those creative people
Yes.
to showcase their work, whether it be a photo or whether it be the actual, you know, product or motorcycle or whatever that they created. Like
Exhaust.
this guy right here, Kyle Rice, one of the sweetest, most like humble dudes, but super talented, like
Yeah.
fabricator guy, like just a super talent. And I'm excited to watch his career grow. I saw his first bike like in 2018. I think there was an event in Daytona that I first met him, and like I could tell he was kind of like, you could see he had a style to him, but he didn't quite figure it out yet, right? And he just like figured it out, and it looks just like, it's cool. And his life was changed by that. He saw this and was just like floored, super emotional, just like super excited. And that's what I get excited about. Seeing like the real raw emotion that can come from it.
Yeah.
Because I get it all the time. I'm getting goosebumps now thinking about it. Every time I put an issue to bed, I think about like how much work it was and like, oh my God, like, oh, that was so much work, right? Like putting it together, and then you're just like, God, I'm so stoked on how this one came out. And then you see it and you're like, God, I hate this piece of shit.
That's probably the same way that Paige has been looking at her motorcycle. I mean, every time we walk up to it all, the past 2 days, we're all like, man, this thing is beautiful. And she's like, oh, it's so full of flaws. It's the same thing.
He's like, whatever.
Oh,
This thing's gorgeous.
It's got a little bit of
But that's what
cleanup to
makes
do
you good
on
at
it.
things, right? That's what makes you good.
Well, that's what makes
you constantly have to analyze it.
Yeah, that's what is going to make
Wanna
every
get better.
issue better than the next, and every
Yeah.
one of her paint jobs better than the previous. Like that's just how we all get
The
better.
power of giving a fuck is huge.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, people are like, you're crazy. You're like, no, I just know I know what it should look like, and I'm going to get there,
Yeah.
Or with
Yeah.
the next project, make it a little different.
Yeah. Well, I'm super stoked that this is here.
Thanks.
I think it's
am
way
too.
cool. I mean, as a '90s kid, I mean, magazines were the thing. That's how we got our content, right?
Yep.
There was no internet. There was no Instagram. It was, we got to go down to the magazine shop the first of every month and check out the new magazines. Maybe they went away for a while, but I think that they have a place in the industry. I really believe that.
They can absolutely coexist, and
Yeah.
it just has to be presented and executed in a certain way. I understand that that's not a news source, right? To a degree, right? Like,
Yeah.
it's not like breaking news. This shit came out 4 months ago, and you already saw it like
Breaking
3 months ago. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I get that, but like the storytelling and the feature element, and like really capturing like the beauty and like the grit and the like everything that went into either the bike or whatever, right? Like that can be captured in here that can't be captured on social.
Absolutely. And
Yeah.
a lot of
It
these
can-
people that are your subscribers are not going to get a chance to ever physically see that motorcycle, whichever one's on the cover.
Right.
They're not going to get a chance to see it. And if they do, typically they're not going to be comfortable enough to ask someone about it. And that's, they'll be like, oh, that's rad. They don't even know what they're looking at half the time. And that's not a knock.
Yeah.
It's only because they haven't been informed. Right. And so like allowing people to really understand to the nth degree what it takes to get here is, an informed customer is a really great one. The more in know that you can like explain to them, they'll understand the process whenever they hit up FXR division and they're wanting to have this one thing. Well, they'll understand what it took to make that one thing that they want. And that elevates the experience altogether.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah.
I mean, I think even so much as, as a consumer, you sit down and you read the article about this cover bike and you read some of the specs on it. Now it's, as a consumer, I want to go find that bike. I want to go hunt it down. I want to find it. Like if it's going to be at this show, I wasn't going to go to that show, but I'm going to go to that show now because I want to see that bike.
Yeah.
Like it just all feeds back into helping everything grow. You know what I mean? I think it's just, I think it has a place. I mean, and I love to hear that, because the economics things, like when it all boils down, if it doesn't make any money, if it's losing money, eventually it's going to go away, right? So to hear that, the economics of it can work and are working, that excites me because I want to see it stay. I really do want to see it stay.
What do you want to see it do?
Good question.
Yeah.
You know what? Honestly, I I want to be able to put a quality product out. I want to be able to like have everybody still feel like they're part of it, right? Like that was my vision from the beginning, and it still is, and it will always be, that it's this community platform for people to have a voice or get, hipped to what's coming out or what's cool or what's happening or the latest event or, our take on certain things or, anything and everything industry related, right? Because there just isn't things out there like that, like there used to be.
Right.
And that's what I want to be able to be, that kind of like I said, a vessel to help carry on the legacy. And if I can help do that, then I'm happy. Right.
Dope.
And that's really it. And that's really kind of, I want this to be about you and you and you and those stories. And if we can keep doing that because there's a lot of yous out there that are doing some really cool shit. And I just want this to be the place that people find out about it.
Cool. I like it.
I'm curious, where do you see, the world shifted, 5-7 years ago, I don't know, maybe 10 years ago, with the internet, with social media, with Instagram, TikTok, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Where do you see it in another 10 years?
Like social media in general?
Or media and just media in general. Yeah. Print, TV, just all of it.
Yeah, it's a good question. I do see. It's funny. I'll tell you, like, you have young kids, right?
Yeah.
My kids love getting mail, like physical mail. I have an 11-year-old and a 5-year-old. When they get like a letter or a card or something, it's like Christmas, dude. And you see that like things are cyclical in the world, not just this industry, but every industry. And who knows, like, if social media will always be around, if television will always be around, maybe we'll be watching freaking AI, like real life things like in front of us. I don't know, but I think it all can exist. It's just a matter of how does it coexist,
Right?
And if it makes sense, and if there's still an audience for it, I hate making this analogy, but people still buy albums, I went to Radio Shack the other day and they sell blank cassette tapes, dude.
Still?
Yes.
Really? Man, I remember recording like the end of the year radio shows at like the year's top 100 and like recording it. Commercial break starts, stopping it. Recording it when it starts again, stopping it. Like that's how we got to make our mixtapes. That's cool.
Yeah. And look, I'm not like a guy that's like collecting vinyl, and kudos to you guys that do that or whatever. But I'm not basing the vision of this business, off nostalgia. I'm basing it off like it's just another tool in our toolbox, right? Like we understand the power of video and the power of events and the power of social media and all of it. You just got to be able to do it all. You have to like multitask, and I think that's one thing that we've been doing for a long time. And it's something that I understand that you just have to do. It's the nature of the business, and we'll adapt or die.
Yeah.
Right.
Do you feel like that was one of the reasons that Hotbike struggled in the latter years, is that they were a print magazine, and that's who they were and what they were, and they struggled to adapt to changing times?
Not so much Hotbike, but publishing in general.
Just publishing in general?
Yeah, publishing in general. Absolutely. And their customers, there's this new flashy way that's, trackable with analytics, and you know exactly where your ad goes and how many impressions it serves and all this stuff. And yeah, there is
So I guess I'm just curious.
Yeah.
When you say customers, when publishers' customers, are
Yes.
you talking
Advertisers.
people who advertise in the books,
Yeah.
or the people buying the magazine?
people that advertised
Okay.
in the books back in the heyday of print publishing and advertising revenue for print publishers, right? Like a print schedule for a 12-time book back in the day was pretty expensive, but that was the only place you went. That's all. That was all that was
the
out there.
source.
Yeah.
That was the source.
That's how everybody. That's how.
That's how you learned about things. Yeah.
That's where we were getting all of our influence.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you see like a lot of that kind of coming full circle because, you know, like we've kind of all talked about, you know, things are in your feed, but you're not seeing the rest of the shit that's in the world, right?
No.
You're only seeing what social media wants you to see. They own you, but you know, people are kind of hip to that, and I think people are kind of just looking for options, and that's what we want to be able to provide. But back to your point, like. Print publishers back then relied on print advertising revenue, and business was good because that was the only source. And then the internet came, and like everybody's like, "Ooh, what's this?"
Spending our money there instead of here.
Yeah, let's try this digital thing. And a lot of people were hesitant, and then like now it's like the only way people do spend their advertising dollars, you know. But now they're starting to realize, like, okay, it's maybe not so channel driven. It's maybe not so channel specific. It's maybe more so like who's plugged in and who's tapped into, like, you know, nailing it or whatever, figuring it out or finding out the next like piece to the puzzle, right? But I don't know.
I personally think that the puzzle, whenever social media happened, internet happened, and the ad money and all that kind of stuff changed, I feel like it was seen as a replacement.
It was.
Instead of an
Absolutely.
augment. It should really be, this is also a part of your big picture instead of, all right, that's gone, let's go full face into this, even though it's brand new. And now, like, I mean, I think this is kind of a piece of evidence. Now people are like, okay, nothing about this is new. And now the new stuff, AI and shit, is fucking creepy. I mean, it just is. And so this is very real. This is human. This is, you know, tangible again. Like, I mean, it's something that should be a part of the whole picture. And I hope to see more publications coming back to insert themselves in that whole new map that's been created with the internet. Like, this definitely shouldn't be kicked away. It should be a part of the cog in the wheel.
Yeah. And you know what? Like, certain publishers realize that and they recognize that, you know, the two publishers that I'd worked for at the end, you know, they understood, like, okay, we got to dive into this, this, and this, and this also, but you still got to do all of it, right? So it's like, oh yeah, you're doing this and you're doing this and this and this and this.
Yeah, everything
And then
comes with
like
more hats.
staffs would get smaller and smaller and smaller.
And the hats get taller and taller and
yeah.
taller. Just stack them up.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I'm wearing 7 of them right now.
I'm curious, and you don't got to be specific, but just you know, like financially or like the economics of a magazine, how much of the money, like for this issue, how much money do you make on ad spend compared to like people buying the magazine?
Like
You say, is it a 50? Yeah, like is it like the money brought into Hotbike is 50-50 split between like ad money and subscriptions, or purchases or whatever, actual magazines sold.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely more profitable from an advertising revenue perspective. The subscriptions, you know, it's first of all, it's the only method in which we've sold the magazine this year. And just remember, we've just come back this year, and this is like this is a marathon for us. It's not a sprint. We're not trying to like do a one and done type thing. So we know like it's going to maybe take a little bit of time for us to get the subscribers back to where I think they can be. But we're not in a hurry. We're going to take our time. We're going to do it right.
And you have the luxury to do it that way?
Yeah, because I have no overhead.
Great. I mean, that's the best way.
Yeah,
that's the best way.
I have like, you know, it's
You don't have an office in Manhattan?
Nope. I live in a van down by the river, basically.
It's an easy way to get get the ball rolling.
Yeah, you know what? I understand. Like, it's going to take sacrifice, and I've sacrificed a lot. Like, I don't know if you've seen my Sprinter van out there. It's an old, dilapidated 205,000 miler, but it's got me where I need to go, and it does the job, right?
Yeah.
It's not about me, you know.
Buying a new Sprinter?
No.
I mean, you ain't balling out there. Got that magazine money, y'all. We getting it.
Oh God, if you only knew.
No, I think it's just fascinating to kind of hear, you know, a little bit of the behind the scenes on like what it takes for this to get here, and I just think it's cool. I mean, not only is a magazine cool, but I mean this story of, you know, kind of the history of magazines, you know, is kind of a cool story to hear. I mean, this will be something that we look back on in another 50 years. And you know, we might be in a time where it's like, yeah, remember that time where magazines like
Remember
were
when we
dying?
used paper?
Yeah. And then they came back and now they're huge again. Like we're going to look back in a couple decades and this will be part of the story. I think it's cool.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
And
you know,
I hope that it's, like I said, I hope that it's kind of just the start of the next beginning of the magazine. You know what I mean?
you and me both.
So I bet, I'm sure. You and your Sprinter.
Before it couldn't be considered grassroots at all, right? Because you had a publishing house behind you and all that kind of stuff. Would you consider this a grassroots publication now?
Grassroots at heart, but not in execution.
Rad. Can you elaborate?
Yeah, like it's a family-owned business.
Right.
It's literally my wife and I and the cast of characters that believe in what we're doing and the support from the industry, yourself included. And we're all on this like adventure and this journey together. And in that way, it's like, it's not a corporate type feel at all. We're out here living the life. We're doing it daily, you know, and we love it. That's where the economics, you know, it doesn't matter to me right now, right? Like I'm still like in this growing and building phase, and I'll do whatever it takes to get it to where I think it can go. Mm-hmm. You know?
Yeah.
That's it.
That's cool.
I think all the more reason to support it, buy it.
Yeah. Yes. Please support it.
Yeah.
Buy it.
Feed his family, y'all.
Yeah. I mean,
I'm starving, everybody.
So
you know,
hungry.
we preach, you know, shop local.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, but that doesn't have to mean just your small town.
No, yeah. I see
You know what I
saying.
mean?
Yeah.
Local can mean, you know, support small business.
Yes. Yeah.
Shop small.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that just plays right into that. You're not shipping all this money to Austria to some parent company.
No.
Yeah, and there's something to knowing where your money goes like that.
Yeah.
Like whether you're donating whatever you make to charity, whether you're purchasing something from a business, like knowing that whenever you purchase this magazine, it's going directly back into people that are in your community that lead with passion. I mean, that's a big deal.
For sure. Yeah. I mean, and that's why I, you know, like to work with, you know, brands like Sawicki. There's a face to that brand. I know the people. I know them.
Yep.
I can you know have Paige paint a helmet for me, and I know that that's helping her 1-year-old eat. You know what I mean? And I would much rather support and spend my money that way than send it offshore somewhere.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
And that's another way we can do that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Buy Hotbike
Yes.
because it's going to help you get a new Sprinter.
You hate my Sprinter that much?
No.
Dang.
I gotta see this thing.
It's,
No,
how
if it's
can I
getting
help?
you to where you need to go, then it's
does.
doing its job, right?
it better get me home.
Put some flames on it.
Hey, at least you don't got a flat tire right now.
Yeah, that tire.
I got to go
Whole
deal with
crowbar
that.
stuck in your
Yeah.
tire right now.
For real.
Fun day.
But anyway,
stuff.
I'm stoked to be on with you.
Yeah.
And you know,
I think it's, I mean,
with
thank you for
guys.
coming on.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
I mean, I think it's way cool. Like to buy Hotbike.
Shit, yeah.
yeah.
I mean, that's
I think it's cool
that's
too.
fucking cool.
I'm just a
way
It is
fucking
cool.
cool.
I'm just a fan of this.
Yeah, and that's the beauty in it.
And that's why
That's the beauty in it.
I'm stoked to share that, you know, and I'm stoked that other people are still, you know, fans of it.
Yeah.
You know, and turns out there's a lot of fans of it that still want to see it, and that's cool.
It's way cool.
Yeah, it is.
It's awesome.
This whole
Anyway.
day's been awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So awesome. Getting tired.
You guys had a late night.
I don't even know what
And
just
early
happened
morning.
the last hour. I blacked out.
Spaghetti and wine.
Lots of it.
Lots.
There was more wine than spaghetti.
No, I didn't eat enough spaghetti.
It was funny. We got there and I was like, why do we need all these bottles of wine?
They were gone pretty quick.
And I found out this morning what that feels like.
Yeah.
Great.
Wine is not a good hangover.
No. At
It's
all.
been a long time since I've gone through this. And I'm like, this would help. And I'm like, no, this is making me sleepy.
Well, cool. I really appreciate Jordan for sure coming up. Super stoked to see this. I would love to be in one of these pages sometime, so I'll just throw that out there.
Got it.
Are you a dealer for his magazine yet?
No, but I can be.
I guess we should probably find a way
So
to
we
put
can do
these
that
on.
too.
Whoa.
We can make that happen.
Dumptruck
Talk
at
to
work.
my business development manager, Dumptruck, over here.
You're hired.
Speaking
It's
of
only just begun.
His hat just got taller, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
One more hat. Throw it to the top.
It's a balancing.
thanks to Paige.
Thank you. This has been so much fun.
This has been a
I've loved all
blast.
this.
I'm super stoked to be finally working with you, even though
Yeah.
we've been neighbors for our whole lives.
Yeah, we should have made it happen a lot earlier.
But that's the beauty in all this. And special thanks to Dumptruck for putting all this together.
thanks,
This is your making. So thank you. I'm forever indebted.
I'll remind you often.
Damn it, I shouldn't have
do
said
that.
I said it and it's on tape. It's on video.
It's going to be on the internet, so I mean, that makes it real.
I should have shut up before I. Yeah.
It's been amazing, dude. I mean,
Yeah.
like, all I ever want to do is bring people together for good reasons and good cause. And I mean, we did it at dinner last night. Got to introduce some of my personal friends to y'all as well as at your
Yeah.
home. And there's no reason why it should be different because family is family, whether you're clocked in or not.
Yeah.
It's just up to you to create it, and that's what we're doing.
Cool. Well, thank all of you guys
Thank you.
so much.
Thank
It's
you.
been a blast.
Go fuck yourself.
I will.
There we go.
What about the
Tough
audience?
I didn't take it as much as I thought it would.